Hey, Abby, what was your favorite place to go as a kid in the 80s?
I think you know what I'm going to say. It was the mall, of course. Today, we are talking about the rise and fall of the 80s mall. Hey guys, I'm Abby.
And I'm Keith.
Welcome to our 80s Life podcast edition. So recently, we just got back from a trip to the Dallas-Fort Worth area where we went and saw the amazing Duran Duran. But we cannot go to Dallas without stopping by our favorite dead mall,
Yeah, that would be Collin Creek.
Collin Creek Mall in Plano, Texas. I mean, what used to be Collin Creek Mall is pretty much gone by now.
Hey, but they are saving part of it, so that's the positive thing.
Yeah, so Centurion American, the company that is developing that project, has promised to give a couple of nods to the old mall. But we go by every year. It's been 3 years. Can you believe it's been 3 years since that mall closed?
I can't. I wish they'd hurry up and finish.
I know. It feels like it's taking forever.
It is.
But, I mean, maybe these projects just take a really long time.
They do, but I think this one's taken longer than normal.
Do you? I have no idea what to expect.
But the great thing is they have saved the heart of the building.
Yes. The central corridor of the mall is preserved.
One day we will walk there again.
That's going to be so weird because I think it's going to be like open on the side, maybe with like a railing or something, like a balcony. I'm not really sure. The drawings of what they're going to actually do are just that, conceptual drawings. So until we see it exactly, we're not sure how it's going to be. But I think it's going to be cool. I'm excited.
Shoot, by the time they finish, we might be retiring, and hey, maybe we'll just move down there.
You know, I noticed when I was on their website, there is a senior living residence as part of their plan. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking about it. I was like, we could actually end up living there.
You never know.
We'll see. Well, today we want to have a conversation about malls. Because that's such an 80s thing, right? The mall. Now, you did not grow up going to the mall.
Well, I did, but it was a little different.
Okay. How so?
All right. So if you know me, I grew up in Nacogdoches, which is a small town. So This mall consisted of 3 anchor stores.
Okay. So it's University Mall. It's the name of the mall.
Yeah, it was the University Mall on University Drive.
Mm-hmm.
You could walk from one end to the other in probably 5 minutes or less.
Yes.
So the 3 anchor stores were JCPenney,
Mm-hmm.
Bell's,
And Wieners.
and Wieners. Now, who out there has ever heard of Wieners?
I know. I had not heard of Wieners until I moved to Nacogdoches for college. And that was my first experience with Wieners.
That name always made me giggle.
I think it still does. But I can't actually remember shopping there. What kind of clothes or what kind of things did they have at Wieners?
I would probably equate it to maybe I don't know, not even as good as Marshall's. I mean, because at least Marshall's has name brand stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking, was it country western leaning or no?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they had what I would call normal clothes, but they just weren't normal brands.
Okay. So I pretty much remember shopping at Bell's.
Yeah.
Which was the main Bell's or Penny's. I didn't shop at Wieners so much, but we did buy our wedding rings at that mall.
At Zales.
Zale. Well, there was a Zales and a Gordon's.
Yeah.
And we went to both of them. Actually, I can't remember if we bought it from Zales or Gordon's.
It was from Zales.
Okay. Well, so yeah, we did shop there for our wedding rings and other things, but that was the best mall that Nacogdoches, Texas had to offer.
There were 2 stores that I frequented regularly that I really liked at that mall.
Oh.
Other than Bell's and JCPenney.
You're talking about in the 80s?
In the 80s.
Okay.
So one was called Game Hunters.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a local store, but it had board games and all kinds of unusual different type of games you'd want to play.
Oh, I thought you meant video games.
No, it was more like board games.
Okay.
So I really liked that. It was unusual.
Yeah.
But the other one, my favorite, was the Sound Shop.
So was that the record store?
That was at that point in the game, it was the cassette store, but they had records. Of course, at that point, I was already beyond records. I was on to cassettes.
Okay.
Oh, man, I spent so much money at the Sound Shop.
Okay.
They loved me.
My record store was Camelot Music.
I remember Camelot.
Yeah, that was ours. Oh, and we also had Hastings
Yes.
in Nacogdoches, which was a freestanding like record store.
Yeah, but that came a little later. But in the 80s, it was the Sound Shop.
Okay, so by the time I got there in the mid-90s, they had Hastings, which was a pretty good store.
Yeah. Now, one thing I remember about JCPenney as well is, as I've mentioned in the past, I always wanted a members-only jacket. And unfortunately, I didn't get the members-only jacket. I got the Hunter's Glen jacket, which was the JCPenney version of the members-only jacket, which they sold at Bell's.
Oh, no.
So I didn't get the Bell's jacket. I got the JCPenney jacket.
Okay. But can I just say, I did buy him a members-only jacket for Christmas. That I bought at an estate sale. It was used, but it's in really good condition. Hey, so you finally got one.
I finally got one. Well, I ended up with one at some point because one time I went to a junior high dance.
Okay.
And when you got to the dance, it was cold outside but warm inside, so everyone took their jackets off. So I was a big guy, so it was probably an extra large jacket.
Okay.
And I had my Hunter's Glen. Well, when I left, and it was black.
Right.
When I left, I was one of the last ones to leave. And the extra large Hunter's Glen jacket was gone. And the only thing that was left was a medium members only jacket. So
wait, somebody stole your Hunter's Glen?
Someone stole my Hunter's Glen and left the members.
It up for members only.
So, I just now remember that. I actually did have a members only jacket, but the problem was it was kind of like fat guy in a little coat.
That guy in a little coat.
What movie is that from?
I know.
Tommy Boy.
One of the best non-80s movies.
Yeah, we love that movie. Yes. I mean, it's 90s. Close enough. Okay, so you took the one that was left.
Well, that's all that was left.
You traded, basically, with a random
person.
But
it didn't fit. So, I mean, the problem is I did technically, I guess, have a members-only jacket, but it didn't really fit. So, but I don't know why someone would steal the Hunter's Glen jacket.
Maybe theirs didn't fit and they needed a bigger size and they were like, well, let's just take this one.
Better than nothing, right?
Or maybe it was dark at the school dance and they just grabbed the wrong jacket. I'm sure it was probably an accident.
Did you ever get your hair cut at Regis?
In the mall?
In the mall.
I mean, I think I did once or twice at the Collin Creek Mall. Yeah, they had one.
I think Nacogdoches had a Regis as well. And it was I always thought it was bizarre to go to the mall to get your hair cut because, they had the glass so everyone could see you.
You could see in there. And it was always really stinky when you walk by because somebody would be getting a perm. Because in the 80s, like the hair salons would always be stinky like perm.
Yeah.
That stuff like a sulfur smell, it smells terrible.
Oh, yeah.
You could smell it from... You walk by the Regis, you could smell somebody's always getting a perm in there.
Oh, yeah. What was your favorite mall in the 80s, and what were some of your favorite stores?
Oh, well, of course, my favorite mall was Collin Creek Mall, which is actually in Plano, a suburb of Dallas, and it was close to where I lived. Well, okay, I lived in Richardson. We had a mall. We had Richardson Square Mall. So that was my first mall. Like, I was there the day it opened. I was a little kid, like probably 3. It opened in the late 70s. And I definitely remember going to Richardson Square first, but it was a smaller, like a 1-story mall. But it did have a 2-theater, like movie theater, cinema. It had like the corny dog stand. It had an amazing pizza place called Dino's Pizza. It was local, and Dino himself would throw the pizza up in the air, the crust, and do all that.
Did he wash his hands?
I hope so. It wasn't like a Seinfeld thing. Yeah, no, I'm sure he washed. But
it wasn't like Poppy?
Dino was amazing. He made this hand-thrown pizza. It was really good. And, all of that, all the usual stuff, the popcorn, the caramel corn place, and all of that. But then in 1981, they built Collin Creek Mall. And also, my family, we moved a little bit further north, so it was closer. So anyway, I ended up going there more in my teen years, and I loved that mall. It had, glamour shots. We'll have to save that for another video.
Yes, Abby has some glamour shots.
I do have. I went with my boyfriend and got some glamour shots. Okay, and then it had a Sanrio store, so I could get like Hello Kitty stuff, which I was super into as a kid, like in the 80s. And then it had a store called Gadzooks.
I remember Gadzooks.
I loved Gadzooks because they had like the cool clothes. It had units. which I was really into, which that was a girl thing. You probably don't know about units.
I know what units are. I can't say I ever went into one of those stores.
Yeah, no. That was kind of a weird deal. It had the colors of Benetton, which sold the colors of Benetton fragrance. Some of my friends were really into that. It had Express. Oh, and then there was a Mexican restaurant at Collin Creek Mall. There was like the traditional, food court. But then there was Tino's Mexican restaurant, and their food was so good. It was like a legit restaurant.
No, it wasn't.
It was. Don't say that.
I had Tino's later in life, and no bueno.
He didn't like it. I loved Tino's. Loved it. And I would give anything for that salsa.
It was a staple for Plano.
It was so good. So we had like a legit restaurant in the mall, and then it had like this really cool water feature that went all through the mall. The whole length of the mall was like a little creek, hence the name Collin Creek. And it had like water fountains and stuff. But then in like the early 2000s, they removed all of it, all the water. Remember that?
Yeah, I was really shocked when I saw some old pictures. I'm like, what the heck are all these water features?
Well, I feel like they still had them when our daughter was like little, and we went there. And then at some point,
they had some of them. They didn't have all of them.
They didn't have all of it. You're right. They took out a bunch of it. And they used to have like these stores that were like, it's kind of hard to explain, but there was like this little bridge thingy, and the stores were like underneath. It was really cool. That was before your time. Then when we had our daughter, remember we took her there, they had that Thomas the Tank. Thomas the Train thing.
Yeah, I remember I felt like I was lifting weights because I had to hold her up the whole time so she could see. And I'm like, oh, I'm dying.
And then they took out like all of the water. And then after we moved away, we went back and we were like, what the heck? Like it looked really different. They remodeled and changed it. It used to have like a red brick going all throughout, and then they changed it to white tile, and it just looked way different. And then it sort of just over the years it just died, but we weren't there to witness the death because we had already moved away. So I was pretty shocked when I found out that it was closing.
Yeah, that was sad.
Okay, one more mall I need to talk about that is near and dear to my heart. It's a Dallas mall, and it's where I had my first real job.
You were employed by me.
Oh, Miller's Outpost. I know. How weird is that my first job was at Miller's Outpost, which is a clothing store if you're not familiar with it. And then later, that ended up being my last name.
Crazy.
Freaky.
Yeah.
Another weird thing, and this has nothing to do with malls, but our daughter, after we named our daughter and everything, years later, we realized that her initials, all three of her initials, are the same letter sequence as my first license plate. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So weird. Okay, Prestonwood Mall. That's where I had my first job. Now, it's completely gone. In fact, they tore that thing down like in the late 90s. Like it's been gone for a long time.
If you would not have known it was there, you would never know a mall was ever in that location.
You would not know. So recently on a trip to Dallas, we went back there because I was like, I just want to see what's there now. I mean, we've driven by there, but it's like you said, you kind of forget, like, where was it at even? It's just all filled in with businesses. But we did go over there, and we sort of, like, tried to find where the outline of the mall was. And we found one remnant, a trash can with the Prestonwood Mall logo on the side. If you watch our video, I'll show where that is. And we did some then and now photo comparisons, which are really fun. But that is all that's left. And Prestonwood was such a cool mall. It had a skating rink, an ice skating rink, and it also had a huge 2-story oversized grandfather clock.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that clock was cool. Living in Nacogdoches, we talked about the little mall we had. So for us, it was always an event to go to the big city.
Tyler.
To get to go to, well, there were two options.
Okay.
So it was always an event to get to go to the big city, to go to the real mall.
The real mall.
Our mall wasn't the real mall.
Wait, was Lufkin considered the real mall?
No, Lufkin had a better mall than we had.
Yeah, it had a decent mall.
They had a Foot Locker.
And it had a movie theater at their mall.
They had a movie theater and a Foot Locker. So, we might go there to get tennis shoes. But
okay.
If you wanted to go to the real mall, a stepping stone to the real mall was to go to Tyler. So Tyler had a pretty good mall. I think they had a Dillard's, and they had some more legitimate stores. But if you wanted to go to the real mall, you went to Dallas or Houston.
Yes.
and you'd go to the Galleria usually.
Oh, yeah.
If we're going big,
Yeah.
But that was usually mainly only for back-to-school shopping.
Oh, okay.
That was probably the only time we went to the real mall.
I only went once to I made that drive to Tyler once because I had must have had a formal or something in college, and I needed a new dress or something. I don't even remember. But my friend Paul and I went. We drove to Tyler.
Yep.
Just the one time.
But I always loved it because that's when you'd see actually some real fashion.
Oh, then you could catch up with the rest of the world.
Yeah, and so in the late 80s, and it might have crept into the early 90s, one of my favorite purchases, and I wish I still had these today, were some Z Cavariccis.
Ooh, very suave.
I was strutting around Nacogdoches and Z Cavariccis, and everyone was like, what the heck are those?
So the kids didn't really even know what it was, even though they were really popular where I was.
Yeah, not in Nacogdoches.
Okay.
If you weren't wearing Wranglers and boots, it probably got lost in translation. So
okay.
I was sporting Z Cavariccis and Vans.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody thought I was cool. I think they thought I was weird.
Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean, not that you're weird, but that you would stand out, be different.
Yep. But
that's cool. Good for you for trying to be on trend.
Yep. But two places I always look forward to going when I'd go to the real mall would be Orange Julius.
Okay, yes.
Had to get me an Orange Julius.
Yeah, you got to do it. I missed that place terribly.
And the other one, and I'm probably embarrassed to say this, was Spencer's.
Oh, okay. We have to talk about Spencer's. I mean, all the 80s kids were going to Spencer's.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was like
You'd have to go to the back of
the
the store.
forbidden.
The forbidden back of the store.
Okay. Like a couple of years ago, me and you went into a Spencer's. And now that
It's just
naughty stuff is just everywhere. They don't even hide it
It's
anymore.
all out in the open.
At least in the 80s, they had it secured to the back. And I think they even had a sign indicating like you were supposed to be
18 plus.
18. I mean, not that we didn't sneak into the naughty section to see what was back there, but you weren't really supposed to.
We'd go back there and get a few good giggles.
I mean, we didn't buy anything. We were just just giggling at what was back there. But now it's all out in the open or whatever. And
oh, yeah.
woo, they have some raunchy stuff at that Spencer's.
So Abby always drags me in there every time we go now.
I do not. I do not.
Yes, she does.
No, one time we went in there because I thought they might have cool 80s T-shirts or something. And it was just pretty raunchy. It was lava lamps and raunchy stuff.
She's like, I'm so embarrassed. Let's see what else they have.
Let's get out of here. No, I didn't. I said, let's get out of here. This is embarrassing. Okay, so one of our favorite hobbies that we need to talk about is visiting dead malls. What would be called a dead mall? What is a dead mall?
A dead mall to me is one that is about to close.
Yeah, right before they close.
Yeah. So
what are some signs?
Well,
what are some signs that a mall is on the death watch?
Well, generally is that there are no stores left in the mall.
Or few.
There's a few. There's lots of label scars.
Yeah, we should explain what is a label scar.
So a label scar is when you can see the outline maybe of what sign used to be there.
Right.
So whether it's limited, you can tell where the letters were.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, you would be able to tell what previously was there.
Okay. So label scars. Also, if there's a bunch of random local stores and tailors and school classes.
Or if there is a Spirit Halloween store.
I was getting to that.
They're on their way out.
I mean, honestly, if your mall has a Spirit Halloween store,
It's toast.
it's like the Grim Reaper himself is there to declare that mall is dead.
That was the end of Richardson Square.
Last year when we were there it was in the Sears.
It was in the Sears. And it's they're done for.
Yeah, it's really sad. Okay, another sign is if there are more mall walkers than actual shoppers.
Oh, yeah. If the mall walkers have taken over, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with mall walkers, but we need to have some people actually buying things.
Yeah. Yeah, but, if you see a lot of local stores, maybe an antique store creep in.
Yeah.
You have a massage place.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
or
telltale.
a nail place.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know what a dead mall is. Keith and I have this hobby, I don't know, it's a weird hobby, of visiting dead malls whenever we're in cities that have dead malls. And we like to go and just document them with our video because we figure one of these days those malls are going to close.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's great to have some video now because probably in a couple years it's going to be gone. And if no one else has documented it, that just goes away.
Yeah, so some of the cooler ones that we've gone to, there's one in a town called Sherman, Texas, which is like about an hour north of Dallas. That one's called Midway Mall. And we have a video. We have several videos. We actually have an entire video playlist of our dead malls. So you'll want to check that out if you have not watched them already over on our YouTube channel. Be sure and check those out.
Yeah, Valley View is a good one in Dallas.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, so we visited that mall. We had actually been there like a year prior with our daughter. Oh, I know another sign of dead malls. When they have those little animals that you ride on.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? When
little
we went
animals.
to Valley View, and they had those animals, like a stuffed animal on wheels. That's hard to explain. And you pay for like a certain time to rent them, and then you could
kids
just ride
them all around the mall.
I think it's for kids, but our grown daughter really enjoyed it.
Abby wouldn't let me ride.
Well, we were kind of shy that day, I guess, because we talked about riding them and then we got embarrassed and didn't do it. 'Cause we were like, I'm pretty sure they're for kids.
I don't know what the weight capacity was on those things.
No, they're not that big. Anyways, if you see those like stuffed animal riding car thingies, that's probably a bad sign for your mall. But when we went to Valley View, they had those. And then the next time we went, they were in the process of tearing the mall down.
Yeah, they had shut down most of the wings of the mall. They had left open a certain portion because the movie theater was still open.
Right. And so we were like, oh, the door's probably not going to be unlocked. And it was. It was open. So we went in there, and it was crazy. They were literally demolishing the mall, but you could walk down there and see, like, sections of it. You could peek through, and you could see where they were tearing it down.
It was crazy.
And you could hear it.
And now I think it's gone, right?
Now it's completely gone.
Now, I think they're supposed to be redeveloping that one, maybe like they're doing the Collin Creek one. Now, Collin Creek, the developers retained part of that actual mall. Mm-hmm. But I think for the Valley View, they pretty much tore it all down, and they're starting from scratch on that one.
They are, and they have signs that says coming soon, coming soon. But every time we go by there, that one seems like it's really not moving.
Yeah.
It just does not seem like they've made any progress at all. The one about Collin Creek, the interesting thing is that it seems like they're sort of starting the building process while they're still doing the demolishing. Like we've noticed they're digging in and creating like these lower levels, which I don't know if those are going to be like parking levels or what, but you can kind of see it taking shape as they go. So we were actually there recently, and we filmed a whole video of that. We like to fly our drone over so you can really get a bird's eye view. So be sure and check out those videos because they're really interesting to watch the progression as they make the progress of tearing it down and now finally
rebuilding it back.
Building, yes, very exciting.
Yeah. Now, in our quest to look at dead malls, we have had a couple missed opportunities.
Yes, we have been kicking ourselves on some of these malls.
And this is not because we missed them once we have started vlogging. We went and visited these malls before we actually were vloggers.
Right. Okay.
But now we look back and going like, oh, I wish we would have videoed those malls because it would be great footage to look at now.
Right. So our daughter actually got us into this.
Yeah. And I thought she was crazy. She was all about dead malls way before we were.
She was in high school, maybe middle school, or probably mostly when she was in high school. I don't even know how she got into it. Like she found the Label Scar website or something and got into it and was like, you guys, there's this thing called dead malls. And that was totally new to us. And she knew of one. I think the first one was in Kansas City, wasn't it?
It was in Kansas City.
Yeah. And recently that one got completely torn down.
Metcalf South, I believe.
Yeah, Metcalf.
Metcalf South.
That sounds right. And we went to that one and it was wild. It was like apocalyptic.
It was creepy.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like you're walking, there were people cleaning it, and there was the music, like the muzak playing, but there was nothing there. no stores. I think they had one anchor. I think they had a Macy's.
They had a Macy's
and a movie theater.
And there was an antique store. That's the reason we initially went there, was to go to the antique store.
Okay, I forgot about that. But I don't, so they had it where you could, no, the Macy's was how we accessed the mall itself, I think.
You have a better memory than I do. I don't remember the logistics, but we did get in.
Yeah, because we went into Macy's and we're shopping, and then there was an entrance to the mall. There was even like an old Fox photo in there that was just closed off, but you could still look, and all the stuff was still in there. It was really weird. So that was our first one. And then we also saw, the next one I think was in Corpus Christi.
Sunrise Mall.
And this is our biggest regret probably of not filming.
And I have a lot of history with Sunrise Mall.
Yeah, so like you grew up going to that mall, right?
Yeah, so I have a lot of family in Corpus Christi. I used to spend almost every summer in Corpus Christi. So as a kid of the 80s, my cousin Shane and I we pretty much lived at Sunrise Mall. There were two malls. There was Padre Staples and Sunrise. And at that point, Sunrise was the cool mall to go to.
And we should also mention, if you've never been to Corpus, the weird thing about it is they're literally next to each other.
Yeah, they're
like right next to each other.
They're literally right next to each other. And also, The Legend of Billie Jean was filmed in Sunrise Mall.
And I think that's why I have this big regret of not filming that day, because we did take some still pictures.
Yeah. And
we've talked about making a video where we share those.
It had incredible label scars. And when we went there, it was kind of that same bizarre feeling you got. We went in, it was at Thanksgiving, so they had decorated for Christmas. They had a huge Christmas tree in there, but there were no people.
They had Christmas music, full on Christmas tree decorations everywhere. And then we were the only ones in there.
Yeah,
there was no stores open, but yet they still decorated.
Well, there were a couple stores open, but they were the local, non-name brand
Cantera
stores.
dress store or something.
Yeah, but there was nothing in the food court. Food court was just abandoned.
Dead.
But it was so cool.
But all the neon was still there.
Yeah.
All the decor was still there. It was like you could film a movie in there. They could have filmed Stranger Things, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah. So the structure is still there. So Planet Fitness has taken part of it. I think there's a furniture store that's taken part of it.
That's like the anchor stores.
The anchor stores, but there's no access to the main part of that mall. Would love to get in there and look around.
Yeah, I feel like that season that we were there was probably one of the last seasons. And I was wondering if maybe they were having Santa there, and that might be why they decorated.
I don't know.
It was really strange.
Yeah, but the weird thing is now, like when I was a kid, Sunrise was the cool mall. Padre Staples, which was right next door, was the crappy mall.
Okay.
And now Padre Staples is still there, and it's the like thriving mall, and Sunrise is closed. How did that happen?
I don't know. It must have been like the stores that people wanted to go to.
I don't know.
I don't know how that happened. Maybe the mall management?
Who knows?
Mismanagement?
But why do you need two malls right next door to each other?
I always wondered that. I thought that was very strange. And I think I've only been to Sunrise. I don't think I ever went to Padre Staples.
Yeah.
I guess I still could if I wanted to. But yeah, they filmed The Legend of Billie Jean, and now looking back, we're like, oh, if we would have just been doing filming locations then, but we weren't. We weren't doing YouTube, so.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Hey, you live and learn.
Yes.
Okay, something just popped in my head, and I want to talk about it before we move on, is we forgot to talk about one very important mall that we've gone to that is now a dead mall.
That we went to the week before it closed.
That is Metro Center Mall.
Metro Center Mall is in Phoenix, Arizona, and we just happened to be in Phoenix the week before it was closing. And that is where they filmed that amazing scene from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That mall is legendary.
I love that mall. Now, people from Phoenix have told us that mall used to be even cooler before we went there. We missed it on its glory days, obviously. We caught it at the tail end. It used to have a big ice skating rink. And you'd never know it. From when we were there, it was completely gone.
It took us a while to figure out where it was at.
Yeah, but it's featured in the movie a little bit. So we did make a video. Well, we made two. We made a video just of a tour of Metro Center Mall, which I'm so glad we did that. And a lot of people have thanked us for doing that. And it just happened to be we were there at the right time. And then we also made a separate video of all of the filming locations in Phoenix from Bill and Ted. So that was fun.
And one relic that we have failed to mention so far is we actually have one here in Wichita.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even mention that.
We didn't even mention that one.
We have two. But one, we have a thriving mall on the east side.
So we have Town East.
And Town West.
So Wichita is separated into the west side and the east side.
Right.
So east side has a thriving mall. The west side, not so much.
It's kind of dying.
It is. And last time we went there used to be this really cool carousel. And last time we went, it was gone.
That was super sad. It had a 2-story carousel, it was really cool. Yeah. And it was crazy because we turned the corner and we're like, oh, it's gone. And there's just like this big, just empty space where it used to be. It's really made me sad.
Yep. So it's on Death Watch, and it was for sale. I don't know if it's still for sale. So if you want to buy them all, it might still be available.
I have no idea. Who knows what the state of it is. In fact, we've had some people ask us to go and do an update video. So
it's been a couple years, so it's probably time that we go back
all the way to the west side. It's like a 20-minute drive. Big whoop-de-doo. We need to get over there and check it out. So what do you think is the future of malls? Well, like we talked about the death.
I'm glad you brought that up, and this is something I want to talk about. And I don't understand this phenomenon. It really bothers me. It's like, why does everyone love the outdoor mall?
I have wondered that too, because then you're dealing with weather.
It's so hot. Like we lived in
Texas.
When we lived in San Antonio.
Yeah, we had La Cantera.
La Cantera was a great mall, but it was outdoors and it was just so hot. I mean, you just be sweating it out. And just recently, we were in the Colony, and they had an amazing mall. We were staying next to the hotel, but it was all outdoors, and it was like 110 degrees that day. It was so hot.
We started to go there. And we got about halfway down the main corridor, and we just turned around because we were burning up.
Yeah.
It was too hot.
Yeah, it was so hot. I'm like, why? And especially in Texas, do you want an outdoor mall? Then if you live up north, why do you want one? Because in the wintertime, it's a little cold and snowy up there.
Yeah, I do not understand that. The other trend I'm seeing, and this is true of Collin Creek, is they're starting to shift towards what they're calling mixed use. So it'll be like residential and then like restaurants and retail. And they're doing a bunch of like green space with parks and things. So I guess they're just trying to shift towards this mixed use model, but I'm not sure the reasoning.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Is it because they want less retail? Maybe there's too much retail. I didn't understand that either. There must be a reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting concept. I mean, I actually think that's kind of cool. I mean, to have the mix of residential with the commercial, but when you just have straight commercial and it's all outdoors, no thanks.
Yeah, the other trend we've noticed, especially in the Dallas area, is a lot of these sort of outdoor places are all added to music venues. They're all they'll have like these venues mixed with the sort of mall food court concept. So you can, I guess, go to concerts and people are integrating live music. That one in the Colony has a live music venue.
Yeah, which was kind of cool.
It would
be. But the only thing I didn't like about the food court, I mean, the food court had lots of good choices, but it was like on 3 stories. I mean, I miss the days because like when we used to go to the food court, it was more of an experience of you'd hang out with your friends. It was a place to hang out. Now it's kind of like, you know, which store are you going to be on? Which floor? You know, where are you going to be at? And it was super crowded too.
It was very crowded. And yeah, the great thing about the food court in the olden days was everybody could get what they wanted. And you just pick a table sort of like in the middle. And then you go like, that person goes Chick-fil-A, that person goes to Corny Dog and Sbarro Pizza or whatever. And then you just meet at your table. So yeah, you're right. Having it more spread out is not the best. Well, this has been really fun talking about mall memories. I probably have lots more that I could share. It was a really important and special part of my youth, honestly, just hanging out at the mall.
Yeah, it's really sad that the malls, the way we know it, has become a thing of the past. And I hope that things revert back, maybe towards at least something like what we knew. Because who wants to shop outside?
Yeah. And my thing is, it was just kind of, there was like a culture about the mall, going to the mall. I don't know if we'll ever get that back, honestly, the teen mall culture.
Oh, I think that's dead and gone.
I know, because now they have
there's
social
too many
media.
other things for kids to do today.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
We didn't have social media. You know, not everyone had a car like they do today. So
no, our mom would just drop us off, and we'd be there for hours.
Yeah,
and you just Mom would give me a quarter to call her when I wanted to get picked up.
These kids today just don't know what they're missing out on.
I know. It's sad, but, it's fun to reminisce.
It is. All right, so tell us what malls you have that near you, or either not malls you know about that are on Death Watch, or would be really cool to check out.
All right, and we will do that. And hey, thanks for listening and tuning in and watching. Maybe you noticed we are also doing this by video now, so you have more ways to watch or listen to our show.
Yeah, you get to see us in action.
So be sure and check out our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we will see you soon.